When it comes to building or fabricating something, we generally use the same sort of tools over and over, whether it's marking or measuring, there's verniers or center punches, even drills, sometimes scribes or marking pens. They're the same things, and I have to open like 20 different drawers to get all these things out, and then I put them all away again so I know where they are. And I'm done with it. I found a solution, I'm gonna show you how to do it. I've been thinking about this design for some time now, and I've got this stainless steel baking tray that I've had on my bench, and I'll just throw items in there throughout the day and just work out of that stainless steel tray so that I know what items that I need to put into this thing. And this will work for you whether you have just a few tools or an entire bucket load. The reason I've made this modular and out of this particular timber is because it's going to be so easy to add and remove tools if I need to at a later stage. I can just screw this thing together, and there's going to be no glue holding this together. It's just screws from the back side, which means I can easily remove a piece and add a new piece and change it as I see fit. It's kind of like a Swiss Army knife or a 007 James Bond car where he's got all the cool stuff just jammed in, but I feel like that mad scientist that has to try and squeeze it in. So just a quick interrupt here, I've actually been using this for quite a few months now. This is me into the future, and I would like to make a few changes to it. So if you're gonna make one for yourself, stick around and I'll explain those at the end. And the best part is it'll only cost you about $10 to make, perhaps even cheaper depending on where you get your materials from. You could pull apart an old pallet and get the timber out of that, or even go to a building site and get some scrap timber. Well, it's a little bit unfortunate. I just had my ruler sitting up against here and I just ran the blade straight through it. I think the blade's okay, but this is stainless. I can't imagine it's too healthy for it. I'm using my table saw to cut these channels, but you could easily do the same thing just with a chisel and mallet or hammer. So this red thing here is actually a magnetic strip. You can get them for kitchen knives as well as tools, and they're quite strong and they're not very expensive. Instead of using timber, you could easily build this thing out of PVC pipe as well. I'll show you how to do that quickly. If you had some PVC pipe and you wanted to put it all together like this, and to set your depth, you could do a couple of things. You could get a screw and put the screw in where you need it for the depth of the item that you're putting in, or you could just simply get a bit of foam like this, cut a corner, just a piece so it's tight, and just poke it down there until you're happy with the depth, and then just leave it. And it's not going to move. And that way you can just chop these to length to wherever you want, and then just stick them all together. You could just run some hot melt glue down there, or you could even just use some silicone and then tape it up and let the silicone dry, and it's never going to move. You just need to pick yourself up a few different size pipes or electrical conduit depending on what you're putting in them, and you can easily get this stuff as offcuts on a building site. To be mindful where I'm putting the screws, otherwise they'll interfere with the items I'm putting into it. So as I mentioned, some of the changes that I would make to this thing, and its location is perfect right between my toolboxes, but if you made yours with a flat base so you could move it and put it where you're working, like on a workbench or something, that would be pretty cool. The first two changes that I would make is to try and make the stepping a bit taller so that you don't have to worry about trying to get in there and trying to get around things to get it out. So that if that step was a bit taller, it would be a lot easier. The next thing that I'll probably do is make the holes a little bit bigger than what I need. It doesn't matter if they're loose, but it just makes it easier to locate things because you're constantly in and out, in and out. So if you can make those holes just a little bit bigger than you need, it's going to make it a lot easier. And a few more changes that I'll do is probably add drill bits. I was going to do this, but I didn't do it. But once again, make sure you drill the holes bigger than what you need so they're just easy to pull in and out, and then label each one so you know what they are so they always go back. Another thing is probably taking these sections off. I was trying to divide them so they're in different areas, but I end up just throwing them wherever there's a free spot. So this little magnetic strip that I've got here, Don't really need any of those little dividers. Get rid of them. And this piece here is just a blank bit of timber that I've just thrown in there so I can add anything to that later down the track, which will probably be another magnetic strip, to be honest, because I might end up doing drill bits on a magnet rather than holes. If you don't own some of these inexpensive tools that are really handy, like this angled scribe, I'll leave a link to an Amazon page which will have all of this stuff on it for you to go and check out and see if there's anything you want. But in the short time this thing took me to make, it has been the best time-saving organization thing I've ever made for my garage. Highly recommend it. And if you've enjoyed this video, go and check one of these two out.